Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So welcome to 583 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast with Charles Bishop and Mike Washington. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. In short, we call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington. As you see, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is back on assignment. Had a late call that called him off duty. We understand things. He has to save the world. So we're going to make sure we let him do that. We're filming from our home studios, or at least I am, and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. So you see we have Charles Bishop. Charles Bishop, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. Got a lot of great football action coming this weekend, this championship Saturday, and a lot of things will get done over the weekend. So we'll see what we got going. So can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, I see you. You smiling there when you talking about championships. All right, I got you. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. We also have two other guests on here, Dave. We call him Dave for short, Rhodes, as well as Wilton Jackson. That's the third. Second, I should say. I will add one too. I'm trying to make you guys look kid already.
You about to cause problems for that.
Get me all the way jammed up.
Hey, man, you got to grow up fast around these parts, boy.
I know.
You put kids in your life, man. It's not that bad. Man.
Oh,
Man.
We're gonna see. You'll see once you have some.
I will tell you that though. I'll tell you this though. It's expensive, homeboy.
I'll tell you now. You gotta tell me. College is approaching for my oldest right now. So you gotta tell me 1 second.
The second one going to college is approaching. He already got one in there, so he's limping all the time.
All the time.
You know, Mike usually, I'm gonna give Mike a shout out. He an empty nester, so that's why
he living the life.
He living the fast life, man.
He big time.
La vida loca.
Man, let's get into this great show today. We got some interviews lined up for you. We're gonna stay on the refrain of championship weekend, CIAA, SIAC. It ended up having a college football playoff feel to it when we got 1 versus 4 as the poll came out last week. That matchup happens to be in the SIAC. That is Miles College at number 1 versus Clark Atlanta. The Panthers are sitting at number 4. And then you got a 2-3 matchup. That's Virginia State Trojans that tied with the record, but because of the win, as Dr. Henry Frazier III reminded me quickly, is that they are the outright champion with the number 1 seed. They face off against number 3 Virginia Union Panthers in a rematch from 1 week ago, literally. With that being said, let's get into some other news of the day and see where y'all want to go. We might have to talk a little bit of basketball, but I'll see where y'all want to go with that. You also can give some love to volleyball and some things off the record, but wherever y'all want to go, let me start with Charles. What direction do you want to take in terms of your news of the day? What's on your mind?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit of hoops. As the Norfolk State men's basketball team, they made their way back into the national rankings. The Spartans earned the number 25 slot in the latest College Insider men's mid-major top 25 poll released by the website on this Monday evening. Norfolk State 3-0 is the only historically black college or university featured in the rankings. So a little bit about the mid-major poll. It contains conferences from American East, Atlantic Sun, Big Sky, Big South, Big West, Coastal Athletic Conference USA, Horizon, Independence, Ivy, Metro Atlantic, Mid-Atlantic, Mid-American, Mid-East, Missouri Valley, Northeast, all the way to the MEAC and the SWAC are the HBCU institutions. So the recognition marks Norfolk State's first ranking in the mid-major poll this season, reaching as high as number 19 during the 23-24 season. So big news for Norfolk State. Of course, Norfolk State, they lost on the road for its first away test this past Tuesday night to William and Mary, but they came into this week ranked 25.
3-0 coming in there, tough road loss. So they were just number 25, as you said. So I'm not sure they stay in there unless they can get a couple of wins before the poll comes back out. With that being said, let me go to Wilton Jackson, the second. What's on your mind?
So the MEAC announced the Guardian of the Game Awards reception.
Nice.
Basically, it's a prestigious event dedicated to recognizing influential individuals who have made a significant impact in the world of sports. The reception will be held on Friday, December 13th, 2024 from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Marriott Marquis Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia. This year's honorees include a distinguished group of leaders and trailblazers who have contributed profoundly to sports at all levels. Their work exemplifies excellence, commitment, and passion for advancing the sports community. The award acknowledges those whose contributions may often go unseen, but are essential to every victory, every milestone, and every achievement. The inaugural honorees are Ben Nguyen from NCAA, Tiffany Greenberry from ESPN, Mary Hill from Voorhees University, Dr. Alicia Shields Gaston from Delaware State University, Dr. Kendra Green, North Carolina Central University, Jennifer Lynn Williams from USA Basketball, and Tiffany Tucker of University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
Great information, Wilton. Good breakdown. Give some love to the Guardians of the Game Award reception. That should be nice. Marriott Marquis Hotel. Man, it's going to be tough for me. I don't get into Friday evening. Got graduation, fighting flights, and trying to get in there. I don't know what the first thing I'm going to do when I touch down. I'm going to see what the gentlemen are doing. Maybe they'll save me a seat somewhere. That being said, let me go with Dave. Dave, what's on your mind?
We're going to talk about the top 25 for women's basketball because we have 3 HBCUs that made the top 25 in the mid-major.
Get in there and save us. Make sure Sherry's not dead.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the Norfolk State Lady Spartans. They're ninth in the poll, representing the MEAC well. And then we have North Carolina A&T from the CAA at 22 and Grambling at 23.
That's
so we got some.
impressive.
Oh, yeah. So we got some pretty good ladies basketball teams going on right now. I will say, like, A&T just recently hosted UNC at Club Corbett, gave it a valiant effort. They ended up losing that game to them, but
great atmosphere. You can't skip through that. Great atmosphere.
Oh yeah,
Corbett always has a good atmosphere. Usually for the double men and women. Oftentimes, obviously, as they move conference, they play on separate days.
Yep.
But to show out for the women, and which they did later in the year as they were in the running. The fact that you're packing that gym, I think that's a major statement. Kudos.
4th consecutive.
As much as I give y'all all your other consternation, I'm able to give you pride. When you get it done, you do it right. Shout out to the Ag.
It's the 4th consecutive game. 4th consecutive game with over 3,500 in attendance for women's basketball. So we're trying to keep that momentum going when we get into conference play and when we get into the more out of conference games.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I want to give a shout out before we turn it over and see if there's anything else that you want to get on here. I want to talk about HBCU All-Star Major Division game featuring Howard and Tennessee State. Harper scored 7 points in overtime to lift the Howard Bison of the MEAC over the Tennessee State Tigers 88-84. And that was in overtime. Blake Harper scored 7 of the 18 points in overtime to help the Howard beat Tennessee State. Bryce Harris was named the game MVP with his double-double behind 70 points and 11 rebounds. Had a nice game. It looked like it was back and forth. Teams took the lead. Shout out to Tolly, who was on the call. It was on YouTube. Took me a while to find it. Once I found it, it was a really pretty entertaining game. It looked like Howard was going to get it done, coming back late and stretching out, having 6 points. But credit to the Tigers. They found a way to tie the game at the end after being down late, 6 points. But then Howard came out and hit the first 2 threes, went up 6. They played even the rest of the way, but they held it out basically, as you said, with Tennessee State putting a little dip in it to break it down to 4. But those 2 big buckets were basically sealing the deal all the way to the end in overtime. So that was fascinating to see. I love to see a little more of those matchups. We do have a couple of coming up that will be home games. You got Alabama A&M at Tennessee State this Saturday, and then you have South Carolina State at Alabama A&M the following Friday. So I'll keep my numbers. You know how I like to do the matchups between MEAC, SWAC, and HBCUs and non-conference HBCU programs outside of the MEAC, SWAC. See what they're doing beyond what we see in the top 25. So good information there. Charles, I'm coming back to you and see if you have anything else on your mind that's intriguing you right now that has you feeling a little froggy or just feeling good about the HBCU sports culture. What else is on your mind?
Let me give you one more. I got kudos to Dillard as they swept Talladega to win the 2024 HBCU AC Volleyball Championship. So Volleyball Championship coming up for SWAC next week. Of course, we had the SWAC Soccer Championship this past weekend where Southern knocked off Texas Southern. So kudos to those teams that are collecting a little bit of hardware here in the fall.
Giving some love to the women. I love the way y'all showing out today, man. Let me go back to you, Wilton, since y'all just doing all this love. What else is on your mind, Wilton?
So I'm going to kind of stick with what Charles was talking about with the women. We're going to go to some MEAC volleyball. MEAC announced their weekly volleyball honors. Delaware State's Jaron Tomlin was named the MEAC Player of the Week. Norfolk State's Jasmine Matera was named Rookie of the Week, while Howard's Leah Reeves and Coppin State's Coco Fajora, I think that's how you say that, received Setter and Defensive Player of the Week accolades, respectively. Tomlin led Delaware State in 2 3-set sweeps this weekend, hitting an impressive 471 and averaging 4.33 kills on only 2 errors. She ranks 13th nationally and first in the MEAC with 52 aces on the season. Tomlin finished the week with 20 digs, 26 kills, and 2 service aces. Matara totaled 22 assists, 12 digs, 4 kills, and 1 block in 7 sets, helping Norfolk State to a 1-1 record on the week. Reeves registered 100 assists, 19 digs, 3 aces, 3 kills, and 3 blocks in 2 wins to help the Bison win the MEAC regular season title. In the match against Coppin State, she collected 59 assists and 14 digs to help the Bison secure the regular season title and top seed in the MEAC volleyball tournament. Fajera collected 40 digs, 10 assists, and 4 aces on the week. Also served up 4 aces in the 4-set win over Norfolk State and helped the Eagles take 2 sets from Howard, who had not lost a set in conference play.
Last thing, I'll close it here. Howard's women's soccer program won the NSC championship this week. Yep. I don't want that to go without notice, particularly as a big soccer fan there. Shout out to the Howard program, particularly women, hosting up their first championship in the NEC, getting it done. With that, let's go to our first break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll see if we'll have our first interview set up. Get your mind into championship week at the mid-major level. Let's get into it.
Go.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology. Hey, grab me one.
At Automasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. This is Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Obviously, we have Wilton Jackson, second Dave Rhodes is in the building, but we have head football coach of Miles College, Golden Bears. That's Coach Sam Shade. How you doing?
Guys, I'm doing great, Doc. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Believe it or not, whenever I get an opportunity, I tune in and check you guys out. So you guys got a great show, and I'm excited to be on with you.
Oh, it's our pleasure. With that being said, Coach, you look like you got a couple of tackles left in you.
Not quite. You know, it looks like all fun and games on television, but
it's real.
When it's live and in person, it's a different story.
Man, I appreciate you keeping it real with us, as they would say. With that being said, this is his third year, and you had to build back this program. Obviously, it had some championship years, and then you had to build it back when a lot of players, coaches left. But your third year, you've done that with a great season. Tell me a little bit about that maturation and what it was like coming to the program and seeing where you are now.
Well, before I came on board, obviously Miles had been to some championship games and won some conference championships, and they were doing pretty good. And then that coaching staff left, and some of the players that were on that team ended up leaving and going different places, hitting the portal. And so when I got in, it was kind of tough replacing those guys that first year. But after that first season, our coaching staff that we have here now did a great job going out recruiting, not just transfers, but high school guys. And last year during the 2023 season, we actually were 4 points away from being 9-1 at the end of that season, and possibly playing for the conference championship last year. We felt like we were on track, but we had some injuries, lost some key guys during that season that we felt like if we had them, we probably could have ended up pretty strong last year and had a possibility to play for the championship. And go ahead. I was just going to say, so this year, we come into this year, we had some good pieces back from that team. We lost some really good players from the 23 team, but for this 24 season, it just seemed like a lot of our young guys have really stepped up and played really well for us. Some true sophomores, true freshmen. We've had some injuries this year. We've been without our quarterback a couple games, without our starting running back, and a couple offensive linemen, our starting tight end, and then you go on the defensive side, kind of same thing. But the difference this year, a lot of our young guys have really stepped up when the opportunity presented itself. So that's been the difference. The next man up mentality this year has been a whole lot better.
Oh, wow. Amazing to kind of feel that when you go through a program, and you just don't know when you're watching teams collect wins and put themselves in a position for championships, how that unique story comes together. Charles, if you would go ahead and follow up.
Yeah, Coach, I want to follow up and kind of talk about some of the players. I mean, I know you're a defensive guy. You have the number one scoring defense in the SIAC. But I wanted to ask about Jeremiah Hudson-Davis, who leads the team in tackles, and then Jermichael Rogers, who leads the team in sacks, what they bring to the team. And then on the back end, LaShawn Young, he leads the SIAC in interceptions.
Well, I'll start up front because it starts up front for us. On our defensive line, Jermichael Rogers, he's a guy that can do it all. He can play defensive end. He can play inside. He can really get after the passer in the pass game. But he plays with a lot of leverage, so he makes a lot of plays in the running game. Matter of fact, if you look at our stats, he's right up there as one of our top sack guys, but he's also tackles for losses. That's what you see on our team and even in the conference. He's got a lot of tackles for losses, and that's just because he's so active in the run and pass game and does a great job for us up front. And then on that back end, like you said, Jeremiah Hudson-Davis, he was actually out for 3 games before we played. He broke his hand. Actually broke his hand, and he was out up until the Tuskegee game. He came back. He's playing with a cast on his hand and just kind of picked up where he left off. And he's a true sophomore. He's one of those young guys. He's a true sophomore. And LaShawn Young, like you said, he's got 7 interceptions, leading the conference, and he's a ball hawk. He's got some natural stuff at safety that you just can't coach. He's one of those guys, you put him out there on a baseball field and you put him out in that outfield, he's gonna be pretty good out there. And that's kind of what he does for us in the passing game. He stays around the football.
Sure thing. Appreciate that, Coach.
Wilton.
Hey, Coach, how's it going? I have a 2-part question. The first part is when you play a team twice, it's hard to beat a team twice. But now this is the big game where it all matters the most. What's been your message to your team, number one? And number two, you kind of alluded to it when you made your comment about you played without your starting quarterback a couple times. Now that you have your starting quarterback, he plays in this game. What's been your mindset and the message to him as he gets ready to come into playing a Clark Atlanta team this time around?
Well, to answer your first part of the question, just about it being hard to beat a team twice. I don't think that it's hard to beat a team twice. I've been telling the guys, look, man, in pro ball, I played against a couple teams, 3 or 4 teams a year, twice, teams in the division. Sometimes it was 2 weeks later. Sometimes it was a month and a half. But it's really something that's not a big deal because the number one thing is you're both going to be different teams, whether it's one game, 1 or 2 games since you played them the last time. They're going to be a little different. You're going to be a little different. They're going to add things. We're going to add things. So I've tried to get my team not to get caught up in that talk about it's hard to beat a team twice because, I just don't believe in that. But also with my quarterback, Cam Ivory, he actually didn't play in the last game against Clark Atlanta.
Right.
Khalil England actually played in that game, and Khalil did a great job for us. He really did. He stepped up. Actually, the Albany game was before that one, and at that point in the season, those looked like 2 of the obviously biggest games on our schedule. And he stepped up and did a good job. And he's still not quite where we want him to be. And Cam's come back, and he's done a really good job for us. And we just tell Cam, look, man, you don't have to be Superman. All right, that's the big thing with us. We're a team. You look at our last Clark Atlanta game, our special teams made plays. We had a block punt for a touchdown. Our defense made plays. We had an interception for a touchdown. And then offensively, we had plays made in the running game and in the passing game. So at quarterback, we don't want him to ever feel like he's got to be Superman because he's got a lot of pieces around him. We got a really good offensive line that's going to do a good job protecting him. And hopefully we do a good job in the running game like we've been doing.
I appreciate that, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
I'm going to ask you a question about you primarily. I know we were talking about Miles, but I want to dig into like the transition as a great NFL player to a head football coach at Miles. Talk to me about that transition phase to going from a great NFL player to a head coach at Miles.
I don't know about great NFL player.
I mean, you're a safety, so you got to hit some folks. Now, you started for a while in the league now. Let's not do that.
Be careful with great, but the thing that's interesting is that I never saw myself coaching. Never thought I wanted to coach. Had a number of my NFL coaches used to talk to me about. They say, "Hey man, you ever thought about coaching?" And they just kept asking me, and I kept saying, "Well, look, man, you guys work too many hours. I pass by the facility at night, late at night. You guys are here 12, 1 o'clock. I get in here early. I'm in here early. You guys been here a couple hours, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to coach." And sure enough, I get out of pro ball and move back to Birmingham, get my insurance license, and one of my buddies gets me to volunteer coach on a middle school team. On a middle school team, and and once I got into it, man, I'm doing it for free, and I'm loving it. You know, did it for a couple years, then moved up to the high school and started coaching there, and it just hit me that, hey, man, this is something I really enjoy. And then I got a call from the late great Heisman Trophy winner Pat Sullivan, was the head coach at Samford University, and he recruited me out of high school. He was coaching at Auburn when I was coming out of high school. He recruited me, and he got me to come over and become a part of his staff. And so I go over there, and first thing we end up doing after that season, they have this big national coaches convention. They had it in Nashville this year. So I go, you got NFL guys there. It's in January. You got NFL guys, college, high school. And I run into a couple of my coaches from the Redskins, guys that had coached me, and they just started laughing. And I asked one of them, because I knew why he was laughing. I said, "How did you know that I needed to be coaching?"
Right, I love it.
He said, "Hell, man, you was telling everybody what to do anyway." he said, "You already doing it." I guess plan safety and all that stuff. So definitely made sense. And I tell my players all the time, man. I use that when I say, "Look, man, sometimes people see stuff in you don't see in yourself. You just got to be willing to listen and really take the message." And so a lot of life lessons, man, I've learned through this game of football.
Man, we hear it. Great stories. Get back to the championship game. With that being said, because I'd love to ask you another one off the field, but I'll call you personally and get that one. But focusing on this game, what are some key things that you believe that is necessary, either offense, defensively, maybe both, including special teams, as the third part of the game? What are the top 2-3 things that you want to get done in this matchup that you believe will make you successful in taking the trophy home?
I think the number one thing is going to be finding a way to limit, stop, slow down David Wright, the quarterback for Clark Atlanta.
That's fair.
Yeah, he's a special player. He's special. He came here last year as the quarterback at Allen, and it was a shootout that went down to the end of the fourth quarter. And to be honest with you, they just ran out of time. I mean, just plain and simple, they just ran out of time. We won, but he's a special guy. He's smart. He understands what you're trying to do to him defensively, and he's going to make sure the ball goes where it's supposed to go on each and every play. He can make all the throws, and then if nobody's open, he's going to buy time. He's going to scramble and buy time for his receivers. So he's just really, really hard to stop. And you look at the stats from our last game, we really didn't stop him. In our last ball game, he got his. I'll just say that to you. He got his. But it starts with him. It really starts with him. And then things that we can control, the things that we got to do, obviously, we got to be able to establish the running game and be able to run the ball. We try to be balanced on offense, run and pass, as far as our percentage of run to pass. And then defensively, it starts with us. Big thing against those guys, they are able to run the football. They've got some really capable running backs. Sometimes they'll put some receivers in the backfield. They've got one or two of their receivers that they'll put in the backfield. And so they're a team, they're hard to stop on offense. They're really hard to stop on offense. But we feel like obviously we can't. They're going to throw the ball a lot. We know that. So we got to stop something. So, it starts with the run. We got to stop that, and we got to limit the big plays. Those are some things that we've got to do. Control the running game on both sides of the ball, and we got to limit the big plays.
Certainly. First thing I'll say before I get you out of here, and appreciate your additional time, Antonio Langdon, understand he's on the staff. I met him with the diehard Alabama alumni down there when I was working in Huntsville, Alabama. Had a chance.
His mother lives there. His mother lives in Huntsville.
Yeah, and so I got a chance to kind of exchange, and really good guy in terms of what he's experienced in life still down at home. So it's good. Make sure you tell him Cavil said hello. He probably won't recognize, but let him know I met him when he's up there in Huntsville with couple of other guys that went to school with him that made sure that I recognized who he was. I was like, okay. Well, once I got to meet him a little bit, I said, "Oh, this is a good guy." He's a good guy.
Yeah, great guy, man. Great guy. I've known him 30 plus years. I'm glad to have him on my staff. He's a great guy, but he's a really good football coach too. Really good awesome. Football coach.
I can see him. He's a great
sure
coach. Made that big play in that championship game. That's for sure.
Still remember it.
So everybody else around made sure. I just moved to Alabama, and obviously I loosely was a fan from that level, but certainly everybody else understood the magnitude of the moment. So that was funny for me. History lesson there. The other one I got to give some love to is Chris. Chris out of Birmingham, your number one Miles Go Bears fan, and you know exactly.
Chris Anderson.
Yeah, Chris Anderson. He makes sure everybody knows everything about Miles College, and he gives me updates. So he is the one who really made sure that this happened in a lot of ways. So I want to give him a personal shout out. Good guy.
Well, if it's out there, man, Chris brings me all kind of stories and news, man, about if it's dealing with HBCUs, man, he's gonna get it to me, man. He's gonna get all the information to me.
That's the Chris I know that he's still trying to get him in the swag. So I was like, man, this guy here. I was like, man, I don't make the vote, man. For all this other stuff, make it happen. You got all these other folks in here. I was like, all right, Chris. Last thing I'll do, I promise we'll take this break, is I would be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to really shout out to those Miles College fans. I mean, you have some great fans in terms of your program. So I want to be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to do that. Talk about your administrators, obviously your AD and your president.
Well, I tell you, I got to start with the administrators, with my president and AD, who were a big part of our president, Dr. Bobby Knight, and our AD is Coach Fred Watson. Those two were responsible for bringing me here to Miles College. And after that first year going 1-9, you talking about some folks who weren't trying to run off and hide when they saw me, man. They had my back, man. They had some unwavering support, and just really, really glad to have those two in my corner. And our fans, man, our student body and our alumni and our fans, they're special. It's special here at Miles. I followed Miles College football long before I became the coach here. I got two sisters that went to school here. My older sister, younger sister, got a nephew that played here, won a couple championships. So I followed Miles for years, and the fans have always been great. And since I've been here, they've been great. They've been traveling with us on the road. They follow us, and they're football fans. They understand the game now. They're not just sitting up there eating cheese and crackers, man. They know what's going on. So, yeah. So definitely, what I want to say though, I want to make sure that they all come out on Saturday and watch us. Also, a lot of big football town, big football state, Birmingham and the state of Alabama. Would love to have everybody come out on Saturday because Clark Atlanta's bringing a really good football team in here. They got a great head coach, Coach Teddy Keaton, defense coordinator L.C. Cole, one of the best, not only in HBCU football, but also in college football in general. So they're going to bring a really good football team, but we feel like we got a really good team. It's going to be one hell of a game on Saturday right here in Fairfield, Alabama at Miles College. So looking for everybody to come out and check us out.
Certainly. For those that can't, make sure you turn it on and watch it. This will be a fantastic game. I have it matched up in terms of my top 7. I have this 1 versus 4. Coach jumped up to that 1 seed. I know you want to win it. More importantly for you is holding up the championship. I ain't gonna ask about the rankings. I know how y'all feel about that. I don't care.
We know how all of them feel, right?
Yeah, we're gonna put the weight on you. That's what we do. You know the media side. We gotta hype it up. But with that being said, we do want to say thank you for joining us. Go Golden Bears, go Golden Bears. Good luck this Saturday.
Good luck, Coach.
All right, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for having me on. Maybe you can have me on later on.
Oh, no problem. We'll get you on here. We'll be right back after this break. We'll come back and get you back on after the championship.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Chris Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be.
You could be a free hot breakfast hero at a comfort hotel.
Yes!
That's how you waffle.
Mr. This Script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel.
A business big leaguer.
Go for key.
Even the ultimate pool float inflator.
With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true. Got to get the corners.
Human Voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Cover's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Cover's Voice, Cover's Voice, CoversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Will with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, so I had the professors in the building. We got to talk about this 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, so I won't rebuild that back up with you, Charles and Wilton, but I'd be remiss if I didn't give Dave a chance to kind of give his piece. What are your thoughts in terms of the matchup between Virginia State Trojans 7-3-6-1, Virginia Union Panthers, the championship of the CIAA 2 versus 3? Let me know, what are your thoughts on
that? I know we just asked Coach Shade about the difficulty of beating the same team twice, but this is going to be a crazy matchup considering they've already played. They played literally a week ago, right? So it's going to be fascinating. Virginia State was able to pull the last one out. I'm still leaning towards Virginia Union here. I think it's Jada Byers and Jada Byers only with regards to that. But I can't be remiss and talk about what happened with JCSU and why they're not in this game. But at the same time, it's kind of crazy to see that we're about to get this rematch, and I think this is going to be I'm hoping this is going to be another close game, but I'm giving the slight edge to Virginia Union here with Jada Byers.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have this as a really tough matchup between the two teams, and people are hedging their bets going one way or the other. But it seems like a lot of folks are looking at Virginia Union. It's going to be interesting to me with Virginia State winning the last game and feeling like they're still kind of like disrespected. And how they will use that as momentum to go back in this game in the matchup, I think is going to favor them. In our conversations on Tuesday, people can go back. Dr. Henry Frazier III reminded me when he had a championship game with Prairie View against Alabama A&M, and they played them the week before that. Obviously had a week between it at that time. The SWAC championship game had 2 weeks off for teams not including playing in the Bayou Classic. So they worked out. And then he talked about the fact was really messed me up when he was at Bowie State quarterback. He had beat Winston-Salem State. Obviously, it was a bigger spread in that game. But let's turn and talk about the SIAC before I get everybody else to talk about the major division matchups. One more for you, David. This 1 versus 4 matchup. Clark Atlanta Panthers, we had Coach Teddy Keaton on Tuesday. We just had Coach Sam Shade on versus number 1 Golden Bears. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup there?
I think defensively, Miles is legit. And like Coach Shade said, it starts up front. But David Wright is a star. He is a star. I still think he's the best quarterback in all of HBCU sports. I stood by that. I stand by that. So it's going to be a fascinating watch to see whether or not David Wright's going to be able to finally have the ability to pull this out. I'm going to lean towards Miles only because I'm a defensive guy. I'm a defensive guy through and through, and their defense is legit. But I'm going to be fascinated to see if David Wright can finally pull through. He couldn't pull through when he was at Allen. He couldn't pull through earlier this year. So I'm going to be fascinated to see if he can do it this time.
And the third time is the charm, as they would say. It'll be fascinating and great points you make there. Let's turn the page and get into the major division matchups before we get into our last segment. We have 3 games that are essentially top 10 matchups. We have one featuring the number 1 team. We have another one featuring the number 2 team. Both of these teams have a chance to lock up their division in these matchups. Then we have one that's a little off the radar that is a top 10 matchup. So I'm going to start there since it's the one that people are not really thinking about. This is number 8, Alcorn State Braves. They sit at 5-5, 4-2. Number 9, Prairie View A&M Panthers sit at 5-5, 3-3. The Braves have an outside shot of figuring this out. They have to have Southern stump their toe majorly. At least one of these. They really need them to lose 2 of these games unless you get into some weird 3-game type scenario stuff. Prairie View, with both of them being at 5-5, certainly looking at figuring out how to make sure they resurrect the season by ending with a winning record, because both of these teams are probably disappointed that they're not controlling their own destiny, at least, particularly for the Braves. But I'm fascinated from you, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup with the Braves going on the road? These have kind of gone back and forth with giving you a lick back, if you would, particularly when teams weren't necessarily expected to win, winning on the road, oddly enough, and teams that able to get this victory over the last couple of years have found themselves, at least Prairie View, playing for a championship game, and Alcorn putting themselves in a position to do that. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I did. I recorded the pregame show for Alcorn today with Charles Edmond, and I was reminded that the last time Alcorn came to Prairie View, they were able to come away with the victory. And the question for me in this game is, which Prairie View did we get? You know, it's kind of been a Jekyll and Hyde sort of season for Prairie View. But do we get this physical ball club that we've been waiting to watch all season that showed up against Florida A&M and dominated that football game? Or do we get another iteration of Prairie View? So I believe that's the question. I think Prairie View, the light bulb has kind of come on, and that is the sort of victory that could kind of propel them going forward. So I expect Prairie View to get the victory in this one if they can contain Xavier Bond.
Good stuff, good stuff. Let me go to you, Wilton. Let me get your thoughts on this 8 versus 9 matchup, Braves versus Panthers.
I see Prairie View obviously coming in this game on a 3-game winning streak, but I do think that streak is going to end. I think Alcorn is going to get the win at Prairie View. I think obviously it's going to start with whether or not Xavier Vaughn and Jacorian Sewell can get the running game going. But I also think it's going to come down to if Alcorn can slow down Prairie View's rushing attack too. And right now, Alcorn comes to this game 7th in rush defense. So obviously that'll be something to think about. And then Jaden Johnson has come along. Like, I know he had a pretty solid game against FAMU. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't have them beating FAMU last week. And
nobody did.
I didn't think so. Yeah. So I look at that and I liked his performance in that game. So I think that if he comes in strong, they have the potential to win this game. And to Charles' point, this is a game where these two teams typically go back and forth. But in my opinion, I think Alcorn walks away with this win.
Certainly, David.
I'm going to be rolling with Prairie View, man. I think the momentum's going to keep turning. I know, and it's funny, we're talking about the major division right now, and normally I'm a proponent of chaos, but I kind of don't want too much chaos this go around across the MEAC and the SWAC. But I do.
You got enough of that at the mid-major level?
Yeah, I've seen enough, and right now the way the scenarios are going on in the MEAC, I prefer no chaos. I just want.
I get it. I prefer clarity. I got to understand. There's a little something bigger behind it. I got to.
Yeah. So, but I think Prairie View will pull this out. I think their run game is going to get them through this one.
Okay. With that being said, we're going to hold these, go to our break, and come back on the other side. We're going to hold the 2 big matchups. If you would, 1 versus 7, that's Alabama State hosting the number 1 ranked Jackson State Tigers. And then we have a Morgan State Bears at number 10 hosting the number 2 South Carolina State Bulldogs. We might sneak in that Southern matchup because it's just a tad bit important as well. But with that being said, let's go to our next break. We'll come back on the other side. And then in our final segment, we'll talk about that. But we have an interview coming up for you in this next 7. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have none other than Dr. Alvin Parker. Man, there's something about this matchup, man. You know, as an academic professor, I'm gonna take a little privilege here. There's just something about this matchup when the two coaches had a doctor. That's kind of nice. So let me first start it out that way. Dr. Parker, make sure I get that out there right. Coach, okay. How's it going today?
Good. Yeah, look, like you said, it's the Dr. Bowl Part 2.
That's right.
That's what we're gonna do this.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it that. We're gonna call it that the rest of the week. You got it. With that being said, let's get in a little bit about this matchup. The uniqueness of over the last couple of years, when you thought about the CIAA, you were featuring a team out of what was the Southern Division and the Northern Division. A lot of people thought the weight was in the Northern Division. The first year, it seems like the Southern Division was really talented, in a lot of ways deep. The way the things played out, it still found a way to get the top two teams playing in the game out of what was the Northern Division in a rivalry matchup. How do you feel about going in the second week in a row against a rival?
Well, it's a lot of parity in the league, man, and I'm glad we went to the no divisions, because I think no matter your geographical location shouldn't determine whether you're in the championship or not. So I think that was a great idea. The CIAA came up with for that, to allow, two teams that can be from Virginia or that can be from North Carolina or anywhere like that to be able to have a chance to make the championship to compete against one another. So, I was excited about that. And as far as competing in back-to-back weeks, this is the first time in my career I've ever done that as an assistant, a head coach. Either or, it's been the first time that's happened. So, we're excited about it. Nonetheless, it's against your rival. So this is a game that when I played at Virginia Union, it could have meant anything, but now it's meaning championship. So it just speaks volumes to the level I think both schools are doing it, and we're excited to compete on Saturday.
Good stuff. Let me go in here and let Charles jump in here and ask a follow-up question.
Yeah, Dr. Parker, I wanted to ask this real simple question, especially when you have opponents who are very familiar with each other. Just what are the nuances in terms of the preparation for this particular game? What details are you really kind of going into this game?
It's not a lot. You don't have to watch as much film as you probably had to do in the past. The game that you can rely on is the last game when you played against them. prior to leading up to the first matchup, we watched a lot of things that they did and prepared that way, and then, now we have our own film to go against those guys and prepare with. So that makes it a little easier, and, you kind of try to pay attention because this might happen on the NFL level. It rarely ever happens on the college level, that you get to do this and you might see something like that and see some of the things that they might do a little different. But the preparation for us kind of stayed the same. Our Monday was the same, our Tuesday was the same, our Wednesday was the same. Everything leading up to the game for us is going to be the same.
Sure thing.
Dave?
What's going on, Dr. Parker? I'm going to ask about your great running back, Jada Byers. Talk to me about him having to get the coaching for the period of time you got the coaching.
I mean, I don't know what I need to say. I think the numbers speak for what they are. And NFL talent. That's the biggest thing I can say. And I want anybody that's probably listening to this to make sure that they know he deserves a good, honest shot because he's a guy that can play on Sundays. And his numbers have been what they are. He's been a person for us the last 4 years that has made an extreme contribution. Again, you can see it with the numbers, broken all the records, but I think for him, the only thing he talks about is kind of instilling his legacy with championships. So I think, on Saturday, that's his main goal beyond all the numbers and everything else he's done.
Yeah, you're talking about stamping his way into not just the record books, but the historical lore. Virginia University has a really good chance to make that statement this week. It's really already there, but you're talking about a final stamp on it. This would do it in a lot of ways. That being said, let me let Wilton jump in here and ask the follow-up question.
Dr. Parker, my question is pretty simple. Romello Williams is no stranger to you guys, quarterback of Virginia State. You got to him twice, got 2 sacks against him on last week. What makes him so challenging, and what are you telling your defense coming into this game on Saturday to kind of eat?
We're extremely familiar with him. We recruited him too. Like I said, we're extremely familiar with him, but he's a playmaker. I think it's hard to win this thing or even give yourself a chance to win this thing if you don't have a great competitor at the trigger man. And that's for anybody on any level. Take it all the way to little league, high school. If you don't have a great guy as your trigger man, it's going to be hard for you to compete. And I think Virginia State has that. But I think we have it too. Romello was a great quarterback, and like I said, we definitely respect what he brings to the table. And we got to do a little bit more to stop him. I don't know how you can, but we got to make sure we do a better job of containing him.
With that being said, as a lot of folks focus on your offense, particularly Jada Byers, rightfully so. But let's talk about some of those defensive players as you talk about going up against Virginia State and wanting to stop them. What are some of the key players that are going to have to be at their best this Saturday to get that done?
Everybody up front is going to have to play well. I think everything starts up front, especially for us. I feel like we're a line of scrimmage type of team. So in being that, we have to play well up front on both sides, for us to have any type of success. But then last week, I think our secondary got tested a little bit. So, and if they were given a test, and if I had to grade it, I don't know what type of grade I would give it. I don't know if we passed or not. So we got to make sure we pass that test this weekend, on that side of the ball. But we got a bunch of guys that can play, a bunch of guys that make contributions, a bunch of guys that have been to Salem before. So we're expecting those guys to step up. Shamar Graham, Jalen Mayo, Isaac Anderson, Will Davis, Jockey Hilliard, all those guys that play on that side of the ball. We're expecting those guys to step up and make a major contribution this weekend.
I like it. You talking about tests. And I just thought about it. I got a couple of test papers to grade. And it's getting time to final examination, as they say. And looks like the CIAA and SIEC had their own final examination this week. I'd be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to talk about your fans and your administration, whether from the AD to the president. I always like to put out here somebody that does sport management and talks about the business of sport. One of the business side of it behind every successful coach, usually, generally speaking, is a successful and a great supporting cast from the administrative side, starting usually in athletics with the athletic director and many others, SIDs and folks of that nature, SWAs that are getting things done. But even more so is at the presidential level, president, chancellor, have to be on the page that allow you to put yourself in a position to have the success that you've had over the last couple of years.
Doc, you spot on with that. I mean, it don't happen because you just show up and call the right play. That's not how it happens. You know,
That's right.
it has to be a total buy-in, a total commitment, university-wide. You know, from the president all the way down to the cafeteria. Everybody has to be vested in you winning and making things possible and making things, you know, kind of at the fingertips, making things easier so you can kind of concentrate on the football aspect of it. And I think our university's done that. You know, our president, you know, Dr. Lucas has made a total commitment to football. You know, our vice president of athletics, Joe Taylor, is a football guy. You know, everybody involved with it. You know, I rarely hear no around here. I don't want to be the one to ask for a lot because I think you still have to do, you know, your end of the deal. But usually when I go and ask, the answer is generally yes. You know, so I'm excited to have an administration like that that's kind of dedicated to making sure that we succeed. And you know, and then when they do their part, you got to be prepared to do yours. You know, and since I've been here, you know, I think my SID kind of brought up the other day. I think we're 47-15. You know,
Wow.
since I stepped on campus, and you look up and you just kind of like, oh, wow, because our job is to win games. Their job is just to make sure we got the resources in place to win games, and I think both sides have done their job.
Ooh, great point. Good job. Shout out to the alumni, your fans as well.
Oh, shoot, look. Most of them guys I played with, I shout them out every day because they call me and talk to me all the time. So, they don't need no more shout-outs. They call and bug me all the time. But you know, I love them to death. But you know, a lot of them people I went to school with. You know, so it's easy to kind of gain that support when you remember those people from undergraduate, and when it's time to reach out and it's time to hit the road and it's time to do things, you know, to get that alumni support, they're kind of right there because it was such a close-knit group when I was a student here. So now those people who were here when I was a student are those alumni who are in position to give and do things. You know, so it's a little easier for me being an alumnus of the university.
No doubt about it. Dr. Alvin Parker, it is a pleasure having you on the show, giving out that time. We look forward to continue to talk with you as we have you now. And Charles, listen to this. Watch how this rolls off the top. Go Panthers.
How about that? There it is.
Double entendre.
I know that was an easy one for you.
Hey, I'm just saying, there's something about it. It works out. It works out when it works out. Coach, good luck this weekend. We certainly will be watching. We encourage the fans that are in that area, go watch this game. All seriousness, it's going to be a great matchup. As I've been talking about it all week, it just featured that this is essentially like a mini CFP. You got a 1 versus 4 in the SIAC and a 2 versus 3. I know y'all ready. Whoever wins this and accolades go to the playoffs, certainly don't have a problem with that, and we certainly will be cheering you every way. It'd be interesting, boy, if you had a championship matchup between the SIAC and CIAA. I'm just saying, you know, we'll talk about that off the record. That's not on you. We'll work with some other folks to get that done. That being said, thank you, Dr. Parker.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody.
Appreciate it, Doc.
Good luck.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
That being said, we'll be right back after this last break. We'll come back and finish off talking about some of the major division games as you had coach here. Appreciate you, Dr. Parker. We'll go to our break and come back on the other side.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Hey, grab me one too. Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. There's not too many shows out there, gentlemen. So I really appreciate what y'all bring to the table and the time that you spend that's able to get the 4 coaches that are representing in this weekend's championship game out of the CIAA and SIAC. That is a statement, and we plan to continue to make statements around here. So I want to acknowledge you all for being a part of that and making sure we can get that done. With that being said, let's talk about the major division. I teased a little bit about the 2 big games, but I'm going to take another one here because divisional championships are on the line. We have a number 5 team in Southern Jaguars that are hosting Arkansas Pine Bluff Lions. The Lions come in at 3-7, 2-4. The Jaguars ranked number 5 in this week's poll ranking as we released on Sunday. They come in at 6-4, 5-1. Yes, they had some overtime. I kind of didn't see them playing out this way, but to their credits, they know how to win, particularly when it comes to the fourth quarter. The question here is, while the other 2 teams that are ranked higher and have a chance to lock things down have to go on the road, the Jaguars get to do it at home. They win this game, and the West Division is theirs, and they are playing for a SWAC championship game. Things play out, they still have a chance, if you think about it, to have the game at home. Not many people have seen that, but they certainly will lock things up if they get it done now, and they know at least they'll be in the championship game. I'll set things kind of up like that. I'm going to go with you, Dave, first, and then I'm going to go around the block and get to everybody else. With that, Dave, what are your thoughts on this matchup with the Golden Lions, who played some solid football? They're probably taking that next step. But can they go on the road and really throw in some chaos, if you would, in at least the Western Division, which has been known for that over the last couple of years? But at this point, I'm not sure if there's much of that to be done this year at this point, particularly if the Jaguars can get it done. What are your thoughts?
I'm always a proponent of chaos, but like I said prior to the break, I'm not part of the chaos life this season. So
you're a changed man, y'all. You're a changed man.
I'm a changed man currently. So that being said, I think this is going to be a much closer game than people anticipated. UAPB got a pretty good quarterback. It's not discussed enough how good that quarterback is. So I think Southern is going to be able to do it, and it's a testament to Terrence Graves coming in there and pulling it off and being able to win the West Division the way that he has.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Wilton, what are your thoughts on this Southern Jaguars? You told me very early. I did my rankings, top 21. You was like, no, Dr. Cavil, that's too much. I beat my chest out with the Carolina Panthers. I got to take a little woodshed right, for the Southern Jaguars. You told me, say, hey, man, Jaguars don't stay down a little more. Charles, I'll give him credit. He jumped on it too. He tried to tell me. I'm like, man, did you seen this team? There's
not too many folks out in the West.
That, but at some point, your record is what your record is.
Right.
There's something that you're doing right.
Right.
So shout out to the Jaguar faithful out there. And I think there's still a question mark, but I'm sure as they can continue to win, they're going to get on board at some point for sure. Yeah. Wilson, what are your thoughts?
The nickname that I've given Southern, the Cardiac Cats, for real, they have lived up to that all year. But I would hope that in a game where they could solidify the SWAC West, that it doesn't get to that point. And I don't think that it will. I have them winning this game, but I wouldn't want them to have any type of complacency against an Arkansas Pine Bluff team. To Dave's point, Mekhi Higgins is lethal when given time to deliver the ball to his receivers down the field. For those that don't know, Giovanni Gibson is a stud. Again, not the records don't show for Arkansas Pine Bluff. You know how good those two have been all season, but he is a stud. And there have been times, obviously, we've seen Southern slack up some defensively. This wouldn't be the game to do that. I think that they will also get pressure on Makai Higgins in this game, and I think they'll sew it up. Hopefully, it just won't take 5 overtimes to do it.
As I go to you, the kickoff for the Grambling State-Alabama game has started. We'll keep you updated on what that look is, and we'll start to tune this off as we get into it. But we got a couple of matches that we missed if we didn't get on the table. I'm going to go to you, Charles. You told me, just like Wilton, said, hey, Southern's going to have something to say. I should sneak out there and tell you what y'all said about Grambling, but I'm going to leave that alone. Charles.
Talk about Grambling, ladies.
I'm gonna I ain't gonna be that. I ain't gonna be that dude. I ain't gonna be that dude.
Yeah, you know, and I think Wilson touched on it. I think UAPB can be scary with Makai Higgins and Javante, young man, the receiver, Javante Gibson.
Yep.
But when I take a look at this, I think the part that really gives me pause with regards to Southern is just Jekyll and Hyde offensively. We just don't know from a quarterback standpoint what they will do week to week. I think they put it together, but I think they're going to have to rely on the running game, Kobe Dillon, to kind of get things up and going and kind of open things up for them. I think they have enough offensively to get it done and cinch this weekend. But, you know, it's great when you have a defense that they have that is sort of a bend but don't break sort of defense, and they've got the job done for them all year, like you mentioned, Wilton, cardiac cats, and it's just something when that ball gets to rolling, Jag Nation, they're going to get on board, and I think after this weekend, be careful.
Good stuff. With that, let's go to this next matchup. You got number 2 South Carolina State Bulldogs, a 7-2, 3-0. They're on the road in Baltimore at number 10. Morgan State Bears 5-5, 2-1. Just when you start thinking about the fact Morgan State doesn't have offense, they find the offense. But the problem is the defense has disappeared a little bit. What is intriguing about this matchup, and I know a lot of folks are really focused just how well the Bulldogs have played, which is true. But if Morgan State can find a way to get it done, I don't think people realize that the Bears literally control their own destiny. They win this game, they win the next one, they go into the Celebration Bowl. So this is not only a chance for the Bulldogs to clinch. In a lot of ways, essentially, the Bears can clinch it too. Or certainly put themselves in the driver's seat to get it done. They'll sit at 3-1. And so you have the 3-way tiebreaker that can mix things up, but it's between Bulldogs and the Bears sitting at 3-1 at the end of the season, 4-1. Then the tiebreaker will go to Morgan State Bears, at least in the head-to-head. 3-way tie between North Carolina and Central. It gets really intriguing. But enough of that. I tried to sell it. Charles, the way you looking, let me go to you and let you get that out.
You know, I know Morgan State, they're playing at home, and they found some offense lately, scoring 38 and 36 points respectively. But what gave me pause was the fact that after that huge win for South Carolina State against North Carolina Central, they went on the road and they punched Howard in the mouth. That said a lot with regards to the way Chittisberry gets his team up and ready to go. I thought that was that game. They could be a little high from the North Carolina Central win, but no, sir. And I think they have got their sights set on this Celebration Bowl, and I think they will get the job done in Baltimore this weekend. I don't think it'll be close. I think South Carolina State and Eric Phoenix walk off.
Before I go to y'all and give you an update, Alabama A&M got the ball past the 40. Third down, they couldn't convert. 3rd and 10. Grambling's defense stiffened up, punted the ball out. Grambling has the ball. Big storyline here is Crawley is back in terms of quarterback in this matchup, which I think surprised a lot of folks. At least that's what they had. And trying to figure out, is he actually playing or they were just talking about it? I'll give you an update, see what that looks like. But they had a picture up there, but it looks like they do have 8 in there, which is the backup. So want to make sure that maybe that was a television thing there. With that being said, Wilton, as we get in this matchup, that I tried to find a way to get you all to believe that, hey, the Bears can do something magical. Is that the case, or do you think the Bulldogs they're going to lock this key as they are rolling and get it hot and be like, hey, they're going to get their bone and take it home?
So essentially, you're saying Morgan State could do what Howard did to Central last year.
Correct.
When we all thought that Central was
that's what I'm saying.
Well, I don't see that. I'm just going to be honest. I don't see it. I don't see it happen. But I will say this: I don't think this will be a blowout. I do think this is a close game. I think this is a game where Morgan State will bring back their defense. To Charles's point, when the offense gets online for Morgan State, defense has kind of slipped up a little bit. I think their defense will be back. I think that if Morgan State wants to have a chance to win this game, obviously they're going to have to contain Eric Phoenix, and that's a hard job. Nobody's been able to do it like that consistently all season to get a win. As we see when they beat North Carolina Central, that was the biggest test. I was also the same person who said either the Howard or the Morgan State game was going to be one that they could potentially lose. I honestly put more stock in that Howard game, to Charles's point. So I think that they squeeze out a win on the road in Baltimore. I would say maybe by a touchdown or 10 points.
Update. Gramblin's quarterback throws the interception. Alabama A&M has the ball back in middle field. First play goes deep, and the Bulldogs get it done. With that being said, David, your thoughts in terms of the match here with South Carolina State Bulldogs, Morgan State. Are you buying anything that I'm selling, or are you telling me to? No.
Return it immediately. just return it. So here's the thing for me, right? I know we've gotten very energized about this great Morgan State offense that has appeared, but this Morgan State offense has appeared against Delaware State, and it vaguely reminds me of the Howard offense that showed up against Delaware State as well before they went to the Bulldogs. And also the other thing that we were concerned about is the fact that they're going to MEAC North and it's cold. Well, South Carolina State didn't have that problem when they went to DC last week. So now they will not have an issue going to Baltimore this week and closing it out, going 4-0 in the conference, locking up the MEAC and heading to the Celebration Bowl in Atlanta. And we'll wait and see who they play within the SWAC. And as usual, Chinnis Berry will go 1-0. Eric Phoenix is going to have a really good game. I'm concerned about Morgan State's defense. It did struggle a bit last week against Delaware State. Yeah. So I hope it's a close game, but I could see it being a blowout.
Well, I can't add this. That is Crawley. Miles Crawley is the quarterback playing in this game. He's back. He did throw the interception. But let's get to what a lot of folks want to talk about. The big matchup, top 7 this week. Alabama State Hornets, 5-4, 4-2. They're hosting Jackson State. The number 1 team comes in at 8-2, 6-0. So 1 versus 7. Eastern Division matchup. Jackson State wins it. Essentially lock everything up, 7-1 with only 1 game. Everybody else has 2, and they own all the head-to-head tiebreakers is done. Only thing they have to fight for is to make sure they hold on to have home field advantage, which we see may go down the stretch. But with that being said, this is a big matchup. I'm going to save Charles, Wilton, I'm going to save y'all for last. I'm going to go with you, Dave, first on this matchup with the Hornets, Montgomery, the number 1 team coming into town. And you got a chance to go up for another big matchup with FAMU and Alabama State. You in Montgomery for that game. Now you get to see what's going on here. Based on all that you saw at that time, what are your thoughts in this matchup?
Alabama State, I have Jackson State winning this game. I think the key for Alabama State to have a shot at this game is to play phenomenal defense, stop Irv Mulligan, don't make too many mistakes on special teams. There's a legitimate because the quarterback play for Alabama State hasn't been there because they're down to their 5th quarterback. So they're going to have to go. They have to control the clock. But I just think that Jackson State is going to be too much for them. So I think Jackson State's going to come into Montgomery and clinch the SWAC East, and no chaos ensues.
Wilton Jackson, the second.
I have Jackson State winning this game. I do think it's going to be a close game. This is a motivated Jackson State team. Obviously, they lost Alabama State for homecoming last year. They get to go to Montgomery to get that revenge, number 1. Number 2, running game has to be strong. But if it's not, Jacobian Morgan definitely has to be smart in his playmaking and his decision-making with receivers down the field because Alabama State has a strong secondary. And for those who haven't paid attention to Alabama State's defense, 2 players to keep in mind: DeMarcus Cunningham and Rico Dozier.
Yeah.
They will be flying all over the field in this game should Alabama State try to get a win. But I'm going with Jackson State in this game in a close one.
Good stuff. Last one, Charles. I'll let you close it out. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? 1 versus 7. One goes on the road. Can they hold on to the ranking, meaning they're going to win this game and tie things up in a nice little bow?
Yeah, I think to Wilton's point, Alabama State's defense does have to play a phenomenal game. What gives me pause with regards to Alabama State, they gave up 16 points in the fourth quarter. Alabama A&M gave up another touchdown late to Alcorn in that game in which they won. But they gave up 14 points last week to Grambling. For whatever reason, the defense looks like it started to wilt down the stretch. And this is not the right team to wilt down the stretch with regards to Jackson State running the football. We know they can run the football. And as my mom has just texted me, give Irv Mulligan a damn ball. I get it. So,
your mama has a valid point, sir. But think about why Alabama State's been wilting, right? Defensively. Because they don't have a consistent offense.
Yeah, the offense has
defense is going to be tired by the fourth quarter if they cannot get a consistent offense going.
Yeah, what has jumped out to me is Jackson State over the last 4 games, I believe, has not allowed a team to score in the second half. And then it's just the number of plays that they run over the last 3 games, 79 plays. That it has a cumulative effect, that running. Dr. Bill, I've said all season, I believe Jacoby Morgan does have a sweet spot in terms of the number of attempts. If it tips over that number of attempts, the 20 to 25 is just about right for him, and the running game has to take over. But I do expect Jackson State to come away with the win. Defense has to get to Kareem King because he has the ability to make some big plays. We've seen him make some big throws for being, 4th-string quarterback. He's played, a decent enough at quarterback for Alabama State.
Alabama A&M had to punt again. They've had great field position, 48 on the other side of Grambling, and couldn't get it done. And now we got a big play. Grambling, second time, deciding, don't worry about passing ball, we're running the ball. And you have the running back that just broke out on the second play, running about 70-plus yards, setting it up at 1st and goal. Inside the 10-yard line. With that being said, we'll call it a show and allow y'all to focus on the game. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Today we had none other than Wilton Jackson II, even though we scared all his family to death when we he had some new news to say. Not yet. David Dale Rhodes is with us as well, does the Indy Report and world traveling, as he also covers the Carolina Panthers. He was actually made it to Germany for that matchup. So make sure you check it out if you want to get some insights on the NFL. You want it from a HBCU perspective, somebody that has the knowledge of the NFL, but loves what he does with HBCU programs. Or you want your Indy Report, tune in on Wednesday as you get it done. You can follow him at Champ D 1012. Obviously, you know where to catch Charles. Wilton will give you all your reports as he flies around covering everything, getting it done, making things work. Make sure you catch up with these guys, follow these guys, support these guys, because it is extremely important. Anything you want to add there, Charles?
No, I have play-by-play this weekend with Texas Southern Bethune-Cookman.
That's a big one. A big one. Always on the mic, getting it done there. With that being said, again, I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We hope you enjoyed our show today. Again, we want to thank you for listening. Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. Listen for Charles and the rest of the team on Sunday morning. I will be on a flight, but we will have your show, and we'll make sure we have the release on Sunday as well, Major Division. Charles will be heading the ship, and you know he steers it correct. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Facebook and Instagram. It's DrKenyattaCavil. We want to tell you, did everybody lock things up or did some chaos take place? We shall see. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Course.
Wilton.
Lecture.
David.
Dismissed.
Let's take it home.